Good morning, fellow Premier League champions. Come on! Welcome back to another video. The day after Manchester City clinched 4 in a row, and I've got my voice back, you may have noticed. I'm still wearing this shirt. I'm still absolutely... hungover is the wrong word, but I feel because I barely drank yesterday. I didn't have the chance to. But I feel slightly hungover. I think it's the adrenaline that was coursing through my veins. I think there's a withdrawal thing going on. But City are Premier League champions yet again, and it feels wonderful. And I just had to go live this morning to chat to you guys. I wanted to connect with you all and see how you're doing today, and also talk about Phil Foden because I'm feeling very Phil Foden today. For me, this is a very passionate subject. You know, it really is, for many reasons, which I'll get onto in a bit, because there's a story and a narrative behind it all, which I can't wait. I'm going to waffle about Phil for a while. I would like to say immediately, please give the video a like for Premier League champions. Let's get, I don't know how many likes, 500 likes on this video would be great, whatever. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to. Come on, let's get to 70k. It would be massively appreciated. And just comment with the trophies, man. Comment with the trophies. Just on the bottom of this video, put the 4 trophies. So when rival fans jump on here and start putting 115 or whatever, just reply with the 4 Premier League trophies in a row. That's what we've got to do. That is the plan. Actual hangover for Dash Mesh. Good on you, mate. And now, of course, we can win a double at the weekend. We'll look forward to that this week. Slicky, hello, my mate, Oname in the house. Good man. Phobo, Dash Mesh, Jojo, John Stewart. Love from Bulgaria. Love from Manchester, mate. Israel Pimentel, Juan Carlos Guzman, everyone with the trophies. Get the trophies out. Get the trophies out indeed. Look, I want to talk about Phil Foden. I just want to talk about Phil Foden because I feel like we've been waiting for this for an awful long time. And there's always a moment in a player's career when a very talented player becomes an elite world-class player. Phil Foden has already shown world-class things in his career. He absolutely has. I've got no doubts about that whatsoever. But sometimes a player will take the next step, and become the main man. Become your David Silva, your Kevin De Bruyne, that level of player, a Gundogan level of player. Sometimes they become one of the best in the world at what they do. And I think Phil, this season, this was the year of Phil Foden. And it's taken a while, but it didn't have to be any sooner than it is already. It didn't have to be quicker than this. For a long time, Phil Foden has been the man that so many hopes were sort of put on the shoulders. His slight shoulders are now a lot broader as he's grown, but a lot of expectation was put on a very young Phil Foden's shoulders from a very young age. And we saw Guardiola always sort of withdrawing from the limelight when things got a little bit busy. We saw Guardiola demand and plea for patience, for not to get this guy, you know, not to build him up too much. We saw Guardiola constantly, when he looked like Phil was sort of playing quite well, stepping back a little bit. And I think that's the smartest thing, you know. It could be, you know, that this... I've just saw, by the way, someone said, did you see the Told Me update? I didn't see that. But there's a rumour going around that Pep and KDB could move to New York in summer 2025. That'd be interesting, 2025, going to New York, KDB. I mean, Pep and KDB playing for New York City. Oh, man, I'd be devastated, but also now a New York fan. That'd be interesting. But anyway, let's just enjoy what we've got for now and talk about Phil Foden, because the KDB angle there is another one that's is sort of relevant to, you know, reference, because KDB has been the man for ages, and we need to sort of consider the next step. And Phil Foden, like, I've been watching him since about 2015 or something like that. You know, Phil Foden has been on the cusp of greatness for an awful long time. And watching this young lad sort of take that step, and he took an awful long time to find his place in this team. He had great seasons, you know, as a left winger. He played a little bit as a false 9 at one point, you know. Of course, he's played in the right winger, fair point. But this is the first season in his career where he's finally played through the middle and been the main man, you know. He's finally sort of become the superstar that we knew he could be. And it was always about lessons. It was always about education. He was always learning how to see the pitch. It's a little bit like that bit in The Matrix where all of a sudden Neo suddenly sees everything and he realizes what's going on. And he realizes that, you know, he can see football a little bit differently. You know, he can see the flow of a game. You can see the expectation on him. You can see the patterns and what he has to do and when he has to kind of sort of up the tempo. And he's still getting there. He's still very much learning that side of things. I think Pep is right to say that he could get even better. But this year was the first time that Phil felt that responsibility. And it'd been coming for an awful long time. People were a little bit down on Phil Foden last season. But you could tell, and I've always said this on this channel, you could tell that in the absence of some big names, Riyad Mahrez, Ilkay Gundogan in particular, that we were going to need a little bit of ingenuity through the middle. We were going to need someone to step up and be that guy, you know? And for me, it was always going to be Phil Foden. If you go back to my preview video, I said Phil Foden at the start of the season scores over 20 goals this year. It was a brilliant prediction for myself. But I said he's going to do it. I said in the absence of people, he's going to step up and be that guy. I knew it in the bottom of my heart that he would do, because Phil was always about opportunities. And this is what we've got now, you know? We've got a man in Phil Foden who absolutely has stepped up with 19 goals, none of them penalties. Everyone else above him there, penalties. 19 Premier League goals and 27 in all competitions. It could be 28, 29 after the weekend. Who knows? Fingers crossed it is. But that's a goal every other game level. That's a striker's level from Phil Foden there. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And we needed it. We needed it. That's a Yaya Toure level season. And there's his overall stats for the season. It's just one of those things where you look at it now and you've got 27 goals in 52 games. That's remarkable. 11 assists there as well. That's just absurdly good from a fantastic player. An absolutely fantastic player. But that is Phil Foden for you, man. That is what he's capable of. 19 goals in the league, 8 assists. That's 27 goal contributions in 35 games. Stupidly good. 8 goal contributions in 8 Champions League games. Once again, stupidly good. Of course, the 1 goal in the Club World Cup. But this is the level he's playing at, where he's found as well a new level. Like, it's wild that a player's trademark can be a 20-yarder from the edge of the area into the top corner. But he's done that. How many times has he done that season? 3 or 4? 4 or 5? He's done that exact same goal so many times this season against some of the best teams that you're starting to think this guy can do anything he wants to on the pitch. Absolutely. Like, remarkably good. Like Phil has, when we needed him to, stepped up and taken this team to another level. Again, to win 4 in a row. This is Phil Foden's season. It absolutely is. I was hoping at the start of the game, yes, it was going to be Phil Foden. I wanted it. It had to be him. It just had to be. When everyone was criticising him, and I don't get it, man. Like, it's so funny how people who don't watch Manchester City think that we're overrating Phil Foden. Like, they don't realise that this season Phil Foden has been creating chance after chance after chance, scoring world-class goal after world-class goal, and they are world-class goals that he's been scoring. You look at that highlight reel of what he's done this season, and it's like watching a great. Like, I tell you what, go and watch people like Figo, whatever. Go and watch, your all-time great wingers or whatever. Go watch the magical playmakers that we all love. And honestly, they're the highlight reel that you're going to see. I'm talking about anyone. It isn't going to be that much better than what Phil did this season, if not as good. That's an actual fact. I'm sorry. I will take that to my grave. It's just true. Phil Foden has done things this season that all-time greats do. Absolutely. He's capable of insane magic. And I think he's only just found this level. And do you know what's going to happen? Next season, you're all familiar with the term muscle memory, right? My analogy would be learning to play guitar. So you try and learn a song, you can't do it very well. You're faffing, and you get it every now and then, and you play a little riff, whatever, and then the next time it's a bit fiddly, and you sort of get it, but then you make mistakes, and you get frustrated yourself. The next day when you wake up, you pick up the guitar, and you just play it first time perfectly. Because muscle memory is a thing where you sort of remember what you're doing, your body takes it all in, absorbs the information, and it sort of stores it a little bit. Sort of like on your internal, on your brain, your hard drive in your brain, whatever. And it stores it, and you can just do it better because it's sunk in. Like, memory needs a time to sort of like process and develop and whatever. And I think Phil, what I'm getting at here is that this season, everything he's learned over the course of this season, and in my opinion, he's got better and better and learned more things, will sink in over the summer. And by the time he comes back next year, he's going to have this knowledge that he's learned this season in the bank, settled as part of who he is. And he'll get better again on top of that. Like, that's the thing, is I think he goes to another level entirely again next season, because He's learned so much. And I can't wait to see what he can do. Tane with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tane. He said, I remember watching your videos every week when I was in high school. I just got married last month. Feel like I've grown up on your content. Thanks for everything that you do for us. Tane, that is absolutely beautiful, mate. I don't even know what to say to that other than thank you so much for watching all this time. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It makes me feel a bit nostalgic. Thank you so much, Tane. And congratulations as well on the marriage. You have grown up, I guess. You know, we've all grown up together on this channel. And look, when I started doing videos, I think the first one I did was in my bedroom at my parents' house when I was in a band and in my late 20s. Get a real job, Stephen. But I was still back at home at that time, and now I've got a house, married, and a kid, you know. Life moves on, and look at where we are now. And we'll watch again. So once again, City are Premier League champions. Tain, love you, mate. Thank you so much. I've not going to the FA Cup final, unfortunately. I would love to, but I just can't afford it. I'm genuinely skint. It's one of those things where, though, I'm gonna just watch it with you guys to watch along. I'm more than happy. Might try and get a mate involved or something like that. I don't know, but I'll see. But I'm relaxed about it anyway. But yeah, going back to Phil, I think Phil can add so much more to his game. I think he can. I think Phil should concentrate on free kicks, learn free kicks like Yaya did. That's another 5 goals a season if he masters them. You know, I think Phil will get better at controlling and slowing things down. And I think I think Guardiola will leave after next season. I think it's almost certain. It looks like he will do. It feels like the inevitable is approaching. You never know, but either way, if Pep leaves, I think Phil would have learned everything that he needed to take forward and sort of captain this team to an extent and lead this team. I really feel like Phil has added so much to his game and so much seniority. He's a man, you know. He was a boy, but he's absolutely a man. And the quality of those goals, it just feels good, mate. It just feels good. Like, I love watching Phil Foden. Phil Foden develop this way. Have you thought about who you would want after Pep and the charges are dropped? I don't know. I think the charges will get dropped, by the way, and I think Pep will be like, right, I earned it all the hard way. Now do one. And I understand it. I think he'll be very frustrated by all this negativity. Like the back of the page for papers today, some just talking about the 115 and whatever. I don't know. I don't know who I want. I don't really care. I think right now. I don't think there's anyone even close. I think it's sort of speculate. It's hard to speculate in a post-Guardiola world because it's the only way he's down. I just don't have any passion for the next manager because there's no one close to him. That's honestly how I feel. It's like, well, I can't be excited about the prospects of the next manager because no one comes close. No one comes close. The drop-off is going to be absurd. There isn't, unless another genius appears, you know. I think the next manager, Man City, we might not even know him. Xabi Alonso would excite me too, actually, to be fair. I think he would. I think he looks like the next genius. And this is the level we have to go for. We have to throw bloody God knows how much money at Xabi Alonso if he does it again. But him being available next summer would be interesting, you know. Because it won't be Liverpool we'll be going to unless the current manager has a terrible season. Ancelotti, who knows where he's going, but I think the interviews for Pep are pretty obvious. He's very much in on next season. My interpretation of Vinny. Someone said Vinny in the chat. They won't give Vinny a go. He's got to do better than that. I'd love it to, but I don't think it'll happen. But my interpretation of the Guardiola comments is that he's tired. He's exhausted. It's been a tough season. He's very honest, and he was right to say he's closer to leaving than he is staying. In terms of like, we're closer to the end of his Man City career now than the start of it because he's nearly done. And I think that's absolutely honest, and I think it's fair. I don't think he'll do more than 10 years at max here. I think he's tired. But I do think Guardiola is very much a guy who's driven by success, and he's driven by those around him. I think we have to be very careful and very considered about who we bring in over the summer. We need to bring in players that are going to motivate Guardiola to keep going. But then does Cheeky want to do that? Does Cheeky want to stay around when Guardiola's there? I don't know, because I think he'll leave at the same time. I agree. But we can bring in big players to push him towards another Champions League, maybe. That would be... Look, if the thing is, the way I feel about it, if we don't win it next season, it's an underwhelming season. He's going to leave because you think, I've done enough here. But if we do win the Champions League, then he's probably going to leave because that's the perfect bookend, right? I don't think we can win here unless unless he just feels it, unless he just feels the football next season. If he really feels it next season, and City are brilliant, like we're brilliant and we batter everyone or whatever, I think he'll actually be tempted to carry on because he'll enjoy it. He needs to enjoy next season. I don't know what that looks like. It could be that he just loves watching the development of Oscar Bob as he breaks through into the first team and he feels a satisfaction about that. It could be that, you know, we bring in Bruno G and Bruno G becomes his new Gundogan and he absolutely loves him. And he's like, I love playing for this team and I can't wait to see Rodri become captain and Diaz step up as well and Phil become part of the leadership group. I think that's possible. I think you could get very excited by the potential future. But what I do know anyway is that I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. It is going to happen. It's sort of like you can't escape the inevitable. But the thing is for me is this once again, and going back to the analogy I talked about, how someone always steps up. Look, this was Phil's season. This was Phil's season this year. The year of Phil Foden. He's absolutely proved all his doubters wrong. And he's shown that there's always life after a legend, you know. There was life after Vinny. There was life after Zaba. There was life after Yaya. There was life after David Silva. Life after Gundogan and Fernandinho. And there'll be life after Guardiola in a different way. And there'll be life after De Bruyne as well. And Phil Foden's proved that today. And I think Doku sort of showing signs that he could be brilliant. Oscar Bob's waiting in the wings. Rodri stepping up to be the team's linchpin. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm just buzzing. Absolutely buzzing, you know. They will give Pep a statue, almost certainly. Do not be surprised, by the way, if Pep is not giving. I think he'll get a stand named after him. I think it'll be the Guardiola stand, the Pep Guardiola stand. One of them will be. Like, he'll get one of the stands. Like, I think. I mean, I'm looking. I wouldn't be surprised if the East stand gets called the Pep Guardiola stand. Would anyone be surprised? Maybe the South stand. Who knows, man? Who knows? But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to witness either way. I thought Doku, by the way. I want to talk about the game a little bit more calmer. Now, it's one of those things where I feel like, you know, yesterday Doku showed South stand. Yeah, maybe the South stand. He will get the Guardiola Gallery. He'll get a stand. Sorry, I'm just waffling now, but I think he'll get a stand. I actually do. But I want to talk about Doku a little bit yesterday because Doku, I thought, showed. I was chatting to someone yesterday, a mate of mine actually, saying how Doku overall, he's had a good season. Like, Doku's shown real promise. Started brilliantly, dipped a little bit, but then he's ended the season really well, really encouragingly. I think Doku overall, as a 21-year-old, he's made a massive step up to the best team in the world. I think he's had a really good season, loads of promise, and like yesterday was decisive, and he was looking great in the big games towards the end of the season. With a penalty against Spurs, he terrified Madrid as well. By the way, he was unlucky there. Terrified Liverpool. By the way, if Pep does go to New York, I've got to watch the MLS too. I will not be able. If Pep and KDB go to New York, I've never been interested in the City Football Group clubs. It's my honest opinion. I'm detached from it. I don't care. I'm a City fan. I'm not a Girona fan. I'm not a New York fan. But I will find it very hard not to watch New York if Pep goes there. Just because there's a real love there. It's like KDB and Pep go to New York. I'm going to have to take another New York trip. I mean, I will do, actually, because at that point, my son will be 3 or 4 years old. Me and Nicola Reba will go over. We'll go over and we'll go to watch a New York game. And I can't wait. It'll be amazing. But yeah, Doku has had a really good season. I think the development will be even stronger once again. I think the muscle memory will kick in, everything he's learned. Next season will be better. I was buzzing for Kovacic, by the way. Kovacic looked absolutely delighted. His first Premier League title. That photo of Kovacic and Rodri hugging, it was so passionate. It was brilliant. I was buzzing for, absolutely delighted. It's just this City side keep finding new ways to step up and win things. And you forget, that it's the first for Doku, the first for Kovac, the first for Vardiel, the first for Nunes, the first for Bob, I would say, as part of the team properly. And they've earned it, these young players now. Rico Lewis, how many has Rico got now? Two Premier League titles for Rico Lewis. And what is he, 19? 6 for Phil Foden at 23. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. So they had, I want to look at these photos here. So Grealish and Rodri departing at 5 p.m. last night. There's Jack. Wait. I'll scroll it down a little bit. There's Jack having a good time. That man's steaming. That man's steaming too. He's absolutely gone. They've earned it. They've earned it. They'll sleep. They'll be sleeping. They'll be sleeping well, I'm sure. There's Pep. Look at that, man. Look at the happiest. I'm going for the photos. I've not looked at all the photos myself. Pep. Oh, you genius, man. He's so bold. I love him. Look at that. That is your champion. 4 consecutive Premier League titles. Lovely stuff. And Rodri's interview, by the way, that was great. He called shade on Arsenal. He said these guys they didn't want to beat us, they just wanted to draw. That mentality, we wouldn't do the same, and we can catch it. And at the end, if you give us 1 point, we will win the last 7-8 games. I love that quote because he's right. And weirdly, I don't really blame Arsenal for being happy with the draw, but he's right to say that if you are playing for a draw, it's not the same. It's not the same, man. It's like you've got you have to have the mentality that you're going to win every game. It's not enough to play for a draw. And this is true, by the way. So maybe this is one of the best, or the best group of human beings and players. How their relationship is between each other, I've never seen in my life. They are exceptional, and this is the secret. I know for a fact that this is true. I know people who work at Manchester City Football Club, and they all say the same. These players, there's literally not a single dickhead amongst them. You know, and we can talk about what certain players may have done off the pitch or whatever, but when you talk about how they treat each other and how they treat the staff, he said that people I know said they're all so lovely. Like they're all genuinely a band of brothers. There's not a single player who moans about their teammate, and that's happened in recent history with some players, and you know who there will be. It was like likes of Cancelo and Laporte was a bit of a moody mardarse, unfortunately. You know, even Riyad was popular, but even he liked a bit of a complaint every now and then. And I think we've got a bunch of players here who are so humble, and that humility is it's absolutely the defining factor. Like, yeah. And Guardiola's quotes here, he said, I feel fine, I want to continue next season, but the reality is I'm close to saying bye, than to stay 7 more years. Next season we'll talk about what's best for everyone, but right now I'm exhausted, tired, but I'm happy. He is exhausted. He said, I feel fine. I want to continue next season, but the reality is... Oh, wait, sorry. I said, I'm really happy at Man City, how they take care of me really well. They give me everything I need. Not just exceptional football players over many years, but behind is an incredible structure. We drive each other for the next step. He's looking for his motivation. He's looking for his motivation, you know. So I'm curious to see... I'm curious to see what he finds. Pep will always find a way. It will be 5 in a row, you know. He'll want 5 in a row. Why not? He'll want a second Champions League. That has to be your motivation, doesn't it? It has to be. Look at Phil there, mate. 17 trophies, 9 individual honours, 23 years old. Remarkable. First-time champions, Nunes, Kovacic, Bob, Doku, Vardiel. There's Nunes with a trophy. Go on, mate. Doku there, loving life. Vardiel, absolutely delighted. Kovacic as well. Look how happy Jack Grealish is in for them, by the way. Like, I know, like, we'll talk about Jack Grealish. I'm going to mention it because I think it needs to be said. Once again, people who are working around City, Jack Grealish is so important. And I know he's a lot of money for a cheerleader, but he's a very good player, a very fine player. He's had, an excellent season last year and a quieter one this year. But I know for a fact that Jack Grealish is the guy that everyone walks in. He's a great player, but he also makes everyone happy. And there's a lot to be said for that, you know. There's a lot to be said for the chemistry of the team. There's a lot to be said for a player who can be brilliant, but also loved. Absolutely loved. Like, the mood of that dressing room is absolutely amazing. It's a real band of brothers scenario. And that stuff matters. You may think it might not, but it does. It absolutely does. It does. But yeah, back to the stuff of this video. I just wanted to chat about Phil Foden. It is the Phil Foden season. I'm buzzing. Just a quick video, guys. I love you all loads. There'll be more videos later. I'm going to do something later, a collab with someone, I reckon. For now, though, 4 in a row. Up the Blues. Come on, City. Champions again. Ole, ole.